game one, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable, like, funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid and her energy and her effort to just kind of like support.
Kelsey Mitchell finally broke the silence. After months of polished interviews, media spin, and insiders pushing their own stories, the veteran soul of the Indiana Fever gave fans what they've been starving for: raw, unfiltered truth. She didn't just answer a question. She lit a fuse. Her words hit like a bomb, the kind that leaves everyone in shock, replaying every syllable. The WNBA is still scrambling, trying to decode the meaning. Every pause, every tone felt loaded with conviction, like she was cutting through all the noise with one blade-sharp message. And in that moment, Mitchell reminded the world that real leadership isn't about screaming loud. It's about speaking with power when it matters most. What she delivered wasn't commentary, it was a statement. One so sharp it could change the way we talk about Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and maybe even the league itself. Was this a subtle shot hinting at rivalry? Or was it something even bigger? A brutally honest evaluation of her superstar teammate that set a whole new standard for authenticity in pro sports. Fans can't stop dissecting it. And here's the thing. Mitchell's fire forces us to ask a bigger question. Has Caitlin Clark not only flipped women's basketball upside down, but also shifted how the entire world views the sport? Are we watching the single most important turning point in modern sports history? Is Caitlin the needle that moves everything?
Speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Drop your take in the comments because the debate is exploding right now. That's the weight Mitchell carries. Anytime the Indiana Fever get mentioned, you already know what follows. The Clark question. It's as predictable as the sunrise, and Kelsey just poured gasoline on it. Doesn't matter what the topic is. Defensive schemes, a pre-game meal, even small talk about the weather. Every conversation in Indiana hoops eventually twists to the same place. But what about Caitlin? It's the orbit everything spins around, and this time the one forced to answer wasn't a bench player tossed a mic, it was Kelsey Mitchell. And that changes everything. Mitchell isn't just another name on the roster. She's the survivor, the heartbeat, the one who's carried this franchise when it was drowning. For years, she was the lone spark in a dark tunnel, dragging Indiana through seasons so bad they became punchlines. This is the same Mitchell who once carried a team that scraped together just 5 wins in a whole season. The same Mitchell who endured a revolving door of coaches. 5 in 8 years. Opponents circled Indiana on the calendar as a freebie, an easy night to pad stats or give their stars rest, while Mitchell was stuck taking blowout after blowout, feeding the media polite cliches, pretending there was hope when everyone knew there wasn't. That was her grind, night after night, pushing a boulder uphill with no help. So when she finally speaks on Caitlin Clark, you already know this isn't lip service. This isn't a hollow "she's great, she helps the team" kind of PR line. Mitchell doesn't do fake fluff. What she gave was raw, sharpened by years of surviving the league's basement, and the power of it. She confirmed what everybody sees, but most are too scared to say out loud. Caitlin Clark hasn't just changed the Fever. She's rewriting the whole story. She's flipped the entire basketball universe on its head. Mitchell's exact words didn't just land, they cracked like an earthquake. She said, "Clark has changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball itself." Let that sit for a second. That's not just praise. That's a full-on seismic admission from the one player who had every reason to be salty. Kelsey Mitchell, the cornerstone of the Fever, the fighter who survived irrelevance and heartbreak, looked dead into the camera and basically said, "Without Caitlin, none of this happens."
You bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make.
The sellouts, the primetime games, the global headlines, all of it exists because of her. And here's the wild part. There wasn't a drop of jealousy. No shade in her tone, No side-eye, no passive-aggressive jabs. Just raw, unfiltered respect. That's what makes Mitchell's words so rare, so shocking, so refreshing. She didn't downplay herself either. This wasn't surrender, it was balance. She reminded everyone, clear as day, that before Caitlin showed up, she was the one carrying Indiana through misery. She was the one grinding through those 5-win seasons, the one swallowing the pain, laying the bricks so Clark could stand tall when the spotlight hit. That's an undeniable truth. Without Mitchell, the Fever would have collapsed into total irrelevance. While the league treated Indiana like a bye week, while opponents padded stats, Mitchell was the generator, keeping the lights on, keeping the whole franchise alive. And now in 2025, her loyalty cashes in. Not just in numbers, but in legacy. Mitchell didn't simply acknowledge Clark's impact, she amplified it, while at the same time stamping her own place in history. That's the genius of her words. Respect without erasure and legacy without apology. This wasn't about picking sides. It was about proving that real leadership doesn't run from competition. It embraces it. That's why fans across the country are still buzzing about Mitchell's words. Not because they were flashy or staged, but because they were raw, grounded, and real. In a league where jealousy and pettiness often steal the spotlight, from Aja Wilson throwing shade to Cheryl Swoops tossing digs, Mitchell just flipped the whole script. She showed the world that respect and truth can live together, that you can recognize a generational force like Caitlin Clark while still standing tall on your own legacy. And in doing so, she handed the WNBA the kind of authenticity it's been starving for.
You've done it with so much grace, and I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do, and from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your back.
But you can't truly grasp the weight of her reflections without rewinding Indiana's journey. When Lexi Hull first entered the picture, the Fever were still the league's running joke. Wins were rare, losses stacked up like clockwork, and the franchise barely existed on the edge of relevance. Through it all, Mitchell was the one sitting in those press conferences, plastering on a smile, selling optimism, while deep down she knew she was carrying the whole load. Then came Aaliyah Boston, a post-powerhouse who planted a flag in the wasteland. Finally, Indiana had a building block, a foundation that actually looked real. And then, the earthquake. Caitlin Clark, a supernova whose arrival didn't just change Indiana basketball. It hijacked the entire sports media universe. Overnight, the Fever went from laughingstock to headline news, and Mitchell was right there at the center of it, bridging the old scars with the new spotlight. Through all the chaos, Mitchell never sulked, never whined, never begged for a trade. She adapted, embraced the reinforcements, and recognized that this wasn't a threat. It was the long overdue shift she had been waiting on. That's why her stamp of approval on Caitlin Clark hit so hard. She's lived both versions of this franchise, the forgotten years and now the sold-out arenas, and she knows exactly which one changes culture and fills seats.
Plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin.
Yeah.
But you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Colson. And she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me.
But Mitchell's words weren't just about professional respect. They carried something way deeper. She didn't just call Clark a teammate, she called her a friend. And in pro sports, that word is never casual. Friend means trust, it means chemistry, it means Clark has slid into this locker room without drama, even brought healing energy, according to Mitchell. Because let's be real, Clark didn't roll in just to hog the spotlight. She came in to build an environment where everyone thrives in her orbit. That distinction is everything. We've seen so-called super teams collapse under the weight of ego. Too many stars, too little cohesion, all hype, no heart. But Clark? She avoided that trap. She doesn't act like she's the only headline. She acts like the sun, shining so everyone else can glow too. And Mitchell's career is the proof. Since Clark showed up, her profile exploded. She's playing the best ball of her life, efficient, clutch in the playoffs, finally getting the respect she's deserved for years. Without Clark, Mitchell might have stayed one of the WNBA's best-kept secrets. But now, the whole nation is watching. And instead of resenting it, Mitchell embraces it. And more importantly, she respects it. One story Mitchell shared shows just how real this bond is. Remember Caitlin Clark's fine tweet? After joking online about being fined, her playful jab sent the media machine into meltdown.
Made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever. And
Pundits twisted it into arrogance, immaturity, even called it classless. But behind closed doors in the Fever locker room, it was comedy gold. Players cracked up, and Mitchell admitted they loved every second of it. She explained that moment revealed a side of Clark the public rarely gets to see. Her humor, the pressure, the cameras, the constant headlines often bury that side of her. But to the Fever, it was just Caitlin being Caitlin. And that's the difference. Outsiders saw controversy, teammates saw character. Mitchell's message was simple. Relax, the kid's just having fun. And here's the kicker. If Clark was resented, that tweet would have blown up the locker room. But instead, it became proof of how strong their chemistry is, how much this group genuinely rides together. Which brings us to the real nightmare for the rest of the league. Indiana's rising Fab Four, Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're not just a playoff team, they're the early blueprint for a dynasty. Mitchell even dropped a bombshell. She'd take less money just to keep this core intact. In today's sports world, where get the bag rules everything, that's almost unheard of. It's loyalty over luxury, and it screams that Mitchell understands the bigger picture. Because she sees what's coming. Indiana isn't the WNBA's doormat anymore. They're the Storm.
MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now. And just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that.
Clark's stardom, Boston's post dominance, Hull's grit, and Mitchell's killer scoring. That's not just a roster, that's a revolution in the making. This squad isn't just stacked with talent, it's wired together with chemistry. What they're building in Indiana goes way beyond this year's playoff run. It's about creating a culture, rewriting the WNBA's pecking order, and dragging the Fever from punchline to powerhouse. And sure, the cynics roll their eyes saying friendship can't power a championship, but the scoreboard doesn't lie. Mitchell buys into it. Clark fuels it. Boston locks it down in the paint. Hull embodies it with grit. Together, they've flipped a franchise once defined by losing into straight-up must-see TV. The Fever aren't begging for respect anymore. They're demanding it, and they're earning it night after night. That's why Mitchell's words weren't just casual praise. They were a manifesto, she declared, loud and clear, that Caitlin Clark has changed the entire course of women's basketball, and that she, Kelsey Mitchell, is all in on this revolution. And here's what makes it lethal. There's zero jealousy, no bitterness, none of that petty, why her, not me energy. Instead, it's gratitude, motivation, and full-on partnership. That's rare in pro sports, and it's exactly why Indiana feels different right now. The rest of the WNBA should be nervous. No, terrified. Because while Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and salty vets like Aja Wilson or Cheryl Swoops waste time trying to downplay Clark's influence or stir resentment, Indiana is actually building something real, something durable, something fans can believe in not just for one season, but for a whole generation. What's happening in Indiana isn't luck, it's a takeover in real time. The Fever have gone from being everyone's easy target to the team nobody wants to face, and the shift is shaking the entire league.
Impersonating her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature.
Night after night, Clark's spotlight shines brighter. Boston dominates the paint, Hull locks down with grit, and Mitchell delivers daggers that silence arenas. This isn't a Cinderella run. It's a hostile rewrite of the WNBA's future. And here's the scary part, they're just getting started. Rival teams can throw shade, critics can spin headlines, but the chemistry is bulletproof and the culture is undeniable. You can feel it in every sold-out arena, every broadcast that can't stop talking about Indiana, every kid rocking Fever jerseys on the street. For years, Indiana was the league's forgotten chapter, but now, they're the headline, the storyline, the storm. And the more outsiders resist it, the stronger this revolution grows. This is bigger than one hot streak. It's the birth of something that looks unstoppable. Mitchell's loyalty, Clark's stardom, Boston's power, and Hull's grit have fused into a core that screams dynasty energy. The Fever aren't sneaking up on anyone anymore. They're planting a flag in the middle of the league and daring anyone to knock it down. And that's why the whispers are getting louder. Veterans quietly grumbling about Clark's fame, executives wondering how long the league can control this momentum, even media insiders trying to stir drama where there is none. But every shot of doubt only fuels the fire because Indiana keeps proving it on the court. What fans are watching isn't just basketball, it's the rewriting of power in real time. The old guard feels the pressure, the league office feels the heat, and the WNBA suddenly looks like it belongs to Indiana's revolution. Mitchell has made her choice clear. Her allegiance isn't with the league's old guard, it's with the future. And that future has a name, Caitlin Clark, backed by a Fever squad that looks ready to flip the entire WNBA on its head. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just give Clark a polite nod, she embraced her, validated her, and promised to build right alongside her. That's not respect, that's a full-blown alliance. And by doing so, Mitchell threw down the gauntlet for the rest of the league.
You've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fall?
Either recognize what's happening in Indiana or get left behind watching history get rewritten in real time. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stay locked together, the WNBA doesn't just have a contender on its hands, it has a dynasty in the making. A direct warning shot at the league's old power structure. So what do you think of Mitchell and Caitlin's friendship? Is it the secret weapon behind this revolution? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.